Hello, my name is Chuck Sutton, here with iZotope, and in this video we're going to talk about Stutter Edit 2. This is one of the quickest plugins I've seen for creating some instantly complex, intricate, glitchy effects. If you don't believe me, then why did that work? The answer, Stutter Edit 2. I'm going to walk you through how to use it right now. This beat is nice and easy, but there's not a lot of variation going on. After setting up Stutter Edit 2, I'm able to glitch and warp every track at the push of a button. To start, I'm going to open up Stutter Edit 2 on the master channel so we can hear it affect everything. The amount of controls on screen might be overwhelming, but fortunately most of these are optional. The built-in presets sound great, and the most decision-making will be which sounds you want to manipulate. The first thing we're going to do is choose our play mode at the top of the screen. By default, it's set to Midi mode, which we'll set up very soon. But for now, we're going to change it to auto mode, which means that the effects will start as soon as you hit the play button in your DAW. To make your own effect, you can open up the preset menu and choose one of the empty slots. We can learn how to control this entire plugin right now by just starting with the stutter button. If you don't hear the effect in auto mode, just press stop in your DAW and hit play again and it should turn on. Right now we're hearing a stutter between 8th and 16th notes, which you can see here. The quantize button makes the stutter 100% rhythmic and doesn't fall off the grid. I'm going to turn on the metronome so you can hear the difference between quantize on and off. On the curve editor, you can see the stutters sliding up and then smoothly sliding back down. This is the palindrome effect. Turning off palindrome changes the flow, and now the effect jumps from the top back to the bottom. The curve editor is where all of the precision happens, and this little icon brings up the full view. Using this graph can be broken down into two steps. First, use the grid on the lower left to choose which stutter speeds you want to include on the graph. You can add or remove as many as you'd like. Then, use the white dots on the grid to create a shape. Double-clicking adds a new point, and if you hold down Command or Control, it'll snap to the grid. Here's without snapping, and here's with. Dragging over multiple points lets you move them all at once, and after messing around, this is my first custom stutter. In this case, I don't have a method in mind, I'm just dragging points around to see what sounds good to me. Above the time signature grid is a piano roll. If you speed up a sound fast enough, it turns into a note, and Stutter Edit 2 has built those notes in for you. Clicking a note adds it to my grid, and now I can work that into my pattern. The reverse button flips the whole graph for you, and if you like your pattern, you can save it to the other built-in ones. Turning on free value adds speeds to your grid that aren't quantized like we heard earlier. Using the speed slider changes the speed, and the grid resolution gives you more or less grid lines to work with. Since we're still in auto mode, we can set up a macro or automate Stutter Edit to turn the entire plugin on and off. Next, we can turn on the buffer. This effect stops the stuttering, looks for a new section, and then feeds it back into the stutter. Using the buffer lets the original sound breathe a bit more. Playing with the buffer grid is an easy way to find new patterns. In the buffer menu is the panning button. Turn this on and you can get an instant stereo effect with its own curve editor. There are 11 effects to choose from, and each one has its own unique curve editor. We can add some chorus, stack it with comb filter, and add my favorite, which is the tape stop. Once again, turning the whole plugin on and off lets you start these effects when you need them to kick in. Now I'm going to open up a new instance of Stutter Edit 2, and we'll keep this one in Midi mode. Midi mode is honestly really easy to set up. To make it clear, I've made the master channel green, and I'll make my MIDI track green too so we know they're connected. All I do is change the output of my MIDI track from no output to master, and it's done. Every preset in Stutter Edit has the name of a note next to it, so if you like a preset, you can find out which note on your piano you need to press. When I record MIDI, you can see the preset name change. Keep in mind, Stutter Edit 2 isn't locked into a single genre. You can make anything from aggressive EDM to soothing neo-soul, and there are presets that can complement the energy of your music. I have 3 groups in this song: the melodies, the percussion, and the sub-bass. Instead of just putting one stutter edit on the master, I'm going to give each group its own stutter edit and then make 3 new MIDI tracks to control them. Now I can individually glitch the melodies, percussion, and bass with different presets. I'll start with the percussion, move on to the melodies, and finish with the bass. That was really fun to do, but having to record 3 lines of MIDI one after the other can be time consuming. Here's how you can record multiple stutter edits with just one MIDI track. This trick is a little advanced, but once you understand MIDI signal flow in your DAW, tricks like this will go a long way. To start, I'll make a new MIDI track and call it HQ Control. This is the one we'll be playing, and we can set it up to control the other ones. To make it easy for us to understand, I'm going to temporarily add instruments to every MIDI track involved so we can hear what's happening. This is my HQ, and these are the other tracks we're about to control. Notice when I play the HQ sound, nothing else is playing. To change this, I'll go to the track I want to control and switch their MIDI inputs from all ins to HQ control, the name of this one. I'm also going to set the monitoring to in. Now when I play one track, the other three will listen out and play two at the same time. Our last problem is that they're all playing the same exact note. This means every stutter edit will play the same exact preset, and we want to change it up. For the final touch, we can use the MIDI effect called pitch. This takes the note you're playing and transposes it up or down. Let's put this effect on the three tracks we're controlling, and you'll hear them play a different note than the one I'm pressing. Now I'm going to delete these instruments and set the pitch effect to +1 on my first track, +2 on my second, and +3 on my third. And we're done. If I open up all three stutter edits and press just one note, you'll see all of them change to different presets. We still have our one instance on the master too, so I'm going to use it to glitch the chords into the beat. In a normal context, I like to use these effects more sparingly and more subtly to emphasize certain moments, but you can also use this plugin for some insane sound design. Just scroll through the presets until something clicks with you, resample it, move on, and have fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have fun with Stutter Edit, and if you're looking for another great tool to push your music to the next level, Vocal Synth 2 is here to help. We just made a video on how to use Vocal Synth featuring me, so click here to watch it. And if you use any of these techniques in one of your songs or videos, feel free to tag me in iZotope and we'll be sure to check it out. Peace!